Recently, I was invited to a special preview event for Forza Motorsport 6 in Burbank, California at Adam Carolla's CarCast Garage. At this event, I was treated to a cool presentation by Dan Greenwald himself, and I even had a chance to play the game before its big reveal at E3. And I wanted to give you guys my gameplay impressions, but before that, I kind of wanted to give you some of my notes that I took during the presentation, just to sort of hit the big bullet points of everything that's new with Forza Motorsport 6 and some of the things that I noticed. The first thing that should be noted is that in Forza 6 there's going to be 450 cars, all of them remodeled, built from the ground up to next-gen spec. That is a lot of cars. They actually mentioned that Forza Motorsport 6 is the quote-unquote biggest Forza game that they've ever made to date. And among these 450 cars, there are actually pre-war historical cars with bias-ply tires, and those tires were designed to work realistically. So they modeled out how bias-ply tires react on a road in their physics engines. I also noticed that in the UI, everything looks a lot cleaner. Everything seems easier to find. I didn't get to see everything, but in the main screen, I actually noticed a few things that didn't get mentioned. But there are leagues now, which I believe might be replacing what we knew before in Forza as a club. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but Dan will touch on that in an interview that I did with him, which should be up on our YouTube channel later. There's also a test drive mode, which I'm not sure if this is just a test mode for cars that you tune and build, or maybe they're doing a full cinematic style like car review test mode for new cars that are released for the game. I didn't get a chance to check it out, so I'm not sure, but it did seem kind of weird that it was a main selection on the main screen. Also, it looks like career mode is now going to be known as Stories of Motorsport, and what that is that they seem to have taken major events in motorsport history, and you get to play through them in a new kind of narrative way. And it's not so much just the sort of ladder career mode that we're used to. I believe elements of that are still there, but they are really kind of going on a new angle with the Stories of Motorsport. There was 5 volumes from what I saw, and each volume has several parts, and they involve various disciplines of motorsports and different kinds of cars. The other big news is that there's a new track that is in Rio, Brazil. So they modeled a racetrack after the streets of Rio, and it was a daytime track when we saw it, and it looked really, really good. The other thing I noticed is that there are showcase events, which kind of reminded me of the showcase events in Forza Horizon 2. I don't think they're crazy like racing a plane or anything like that, but they sort of take like these really cool, crazy situations and throw you into them, and they're sort of meant to be like these big, bombastic kind of events, and those are the showcase events. The other thing I noted was that the Top Gear relationship has continued with Forza Motorsport 6 despite everything that's happened with the Top Gear UK show. The Top Gear test track is still in the game. There's still Top Gear signage, and I believe there'll be Top Gear events, and you can race the Stig. But then there's sort of like a separate thing with the personalities like Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond, who lend their voices and also kind of curated some of these special events and some of the car selections and such for those events. So they even have some other automotive celebrities, including Matt Farah from The Smoking Tire and Tanner Faust, who lended input and lended their voices to the game as well. Now, let me get into the gameplay. One of the first things I want to mention about the gameplay is that it looks amazing. Forza Motorsport 6 is a beautiful, beautiful game. And that's really saying something, because I thought Forza Motorsport 5 was gorgeous. And Forza Motorsport 6 looks better, a lot better. And it's weird to say that because Forza 5, it really seemed like they were pushing the envelope, but no, there's a lot of headroom and the Xbox One hardware, and Turn 10 is exploring it all. And it's not just about resolution either, because the resolution is the same, 1080p, 60 frames a second, just like 5, but they're using lighting, textures, and environments. There's 24 environments in Forza 6, and they're using them in such a way that it really makes the visuals pop. The physics engine has been rehauled, and it's a lot better than 5. Not that 5 was bad, but Forza Motorsport 6 is probably the most realistic Forza game that I've ever played. It's definitely up there with some of the PC sims that I've tried before. I know I might get some heat for saying that, but it's not like I'm a sim racing expert. I'm just giving you my opinion, and in my opinion, it felt really, really good. Really snappy, really responsive, very realistic, not floaty at all. The other big thing is the rain and the night racing. Two very seemingly simple things really add a whole new layer of gameplay. Racing in the rain is incredibly sketchy. It's not just aesthetic rain, it's real 3D rain, which means the puddles themselves are 3D as well. So if you drive through a puddle, you will hydroplane and you can very easily lose control, so you have to have your wits about you. Racing in the rain is just as sketchy. It's dark, you can't really see too far ahead of you, even with the headlights on, and I think, I might be wrong on this, but I believe that if you crash hard enough, you can break your headlights and not have any light at all, and then you're just going by memory or using ambient lighting on the track to find your way around. Either way, both of those new elements added a very rich depth and nuance to the gameplay that just wasn't there before. I really think that if they stay on this track, which I don't believe that they would veer off with the game being so close to release, that this can very well be the very best Forza game ever made to date, which is fitting since it's the game's 10th anniversary. Anyhow, those are my quick and dirty impressions of Forza Motorsport 6.